Good morning. It's not really morning right now. Normally I record this so early it's dark outside, but as you can see, it's light right now. That's because we had a little bit of a different episode today. I interviewed my wife, the first guest on the Sunroom Storytime podcast, maybe the only guest. I did not design this podcast to have guests on purpose because I wanted to be about me. No, but I also just want it to be consistent about stories from my life and funny things and don't want to be reliant on guests or anything like that. But my wife and I went to Big Sur a couple weeks ago and she ran the Big Sur Marathon. And I cannot tell that story because she's the one that ran it. She's the one that did the impressive thing that had the interesting stories. And so I sat down with her right here. When I switch over to that story, the audio might be a little bit different because we used lapel mics for that, but I think it should still sound good. But it was a really good interview. And I'm not just saying that because she's my wife. I wasn't sure I was going to go because she doesn't really like to talk to people or cameras or things like that. And it's not really her thing. It's definitely more my thing. And so I wasn't sure exactly how the interview would go, but I think it was really good. And there's some really cool lessons from her accomplishing what she accomplished, her setting a goal, meeting that goal, all of the things that go into achieving a big goal like that, all the stair step down to everything from what she ate to sleeping to stretching and the training, just all the things that go into running a marathon and doing it really well. She did and is really, really impressive. And so we're going to jump into that story because we talked for a little bit longer than normal. But yeah, let's get into it. This is Sunroom Storytime. So I rounded the corner and I knew if I could just see the finish line that I would be able to make it. My legs were hurting, my lungs were burning. I knew if I could just see the finish line, I would be able to push through the pain and get to the end. And as we round the corner, what I think is the finish line, I realize isn't. And the group ahead of us, they went around a longer way. And that was the moment that I knew that I couldn't do it. And that's how the 5K went that I ran with my wife the day before her marathon. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Proud of you.
This is Sami, my wife.
Hello.
She made me do the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And that was run a 5K. And that's what we're here to talk about, is the 5K that I ran in Monterey. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It was more of a walk run, but you did some running. There were some running parts.
It was a 5K though, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you ran 10 times as far, basically? 9 times as far the next day?
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, this is Sami. This is my wife. She ran, as I would have talked about in the intro, she ran the Big Sur Marathon 2.5 weeks ago. Big Sur in California, near Monterey, about an hour and a half south of San Francisco. Beautiful area on the coast there. Incredibly difficult marathon, incredibly beautiful marathon. But we've never been there. Mm-hmm. We have no connection to Big Sur, really. So how did this come about? Why did it come about?
I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons that kind of came together at the right time. But I've always liked running. I ran in college, just kind of recreationally. And then senior year, all my roommates had boyfriends. You were living in Dallas. I was only taking like 2 classes. And so I just had a lot of time to kill. So I signed up for a half marathon and trained for that and really enjoyed it. And so I just have always had a love for running. But then when we had kids, it just became very sporadic and irregular. And I still knew that it was helpful, like mentally for me, but didn't really have any plans to do anything like that. And then when we moved here, it's just so beautiful and I wanted to be outside. And so I started just kind of running here and there a little bit more, getting more into it. But really, I think what sparked the idea of training for something was our 6-year-old. One day, we were just playing. I don't even know what we were doing, but he said, "Mommy, you don't really do anything other than play with us or spend time with us," or something like that. And he didn't mean it in like a negative way, I don't think.
I mean, he thinks that's the greatest thing ever.
I know.
He was probably saying like, you're the best because the only thing you care about is playing with us. And you're like,
I mean, honestly, but it just kind of hit me like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't have a job. And I think that the very early years with your kids are just kind of survival. Really, all you can do is be with them and feed them and do all the things they need. But I've kind of entered out of that. Our youngest is about to be 3, and so he sleeps through the night. He doesn't take bottles, all the things. So I think I was still operating in that survival mode, and I didn't have to. So that comment really pushed me to think, what can I do to show him that I do things for me too, and I can accomplish goals. And so that was just kind of a natural one that was easy to go for. And then I saw some people I know had been racing for this organization, Hope Story. Shout out to Hope Story. And I was familiar with them. And so I just started looking up what races they had. And I saw that they needed more people to race the Big Sur Marathon. And I thought, that sounds beautiful. So, yeah.
yeah, and we hadn't been on a vacation since we moved here. And for background, if you want to know about why we moved here being Chattanooga, Tennessee, outside of Chattanooga, where we live, I've talked about that on a previous episode, so you can go check that one out to learn more. But we moved here a year ago, basically like this week, last week. And so we are big travelers. We've always enjoyed traveling together. But when you have little kids, it's harder to take kind of longer vacations. And so we hadn't done anything like that. And so when you approached me and were like, hey, there's this Big Sur Marathon, I've always heard Big Sur is amazing. I never really thought about going. Apparently I went like to the area when I was a kid, but I didn't put those things together. I didn't know that, that's like kind of close to Yosemite and some of the places that I knew I'd been. So I just wasn't really aware that I had been there before, but it was an interesting idea, I thought, just from the perspective of getting to go on a vacation and going to do something. Like, if you're going to train this much for a marathon and you're going to put this much effort into it, let's also make it a big reward, as opposed to, which would have been cool, doing the marathon here, which is a great marathon. People really like it. But it wouldn't have such a special kind of, and maybe wouldn't have driven you as much, I think. I mean, you still would have been driven, but the excitement and maybe even the pressure, do you think that added pressure, that there's this like, a vacation that we're spending money on and that there's like a lot going into it? Did that add to the, maybe not pressure, but drive to like do a good job, make sure you put all the effort you need to make it happen?
I think it added to the excitement. I don't think, I was excited. I would have been excited for the marathon anyway, but I think there's kind of a sense of dread almost too, like, can I do this? Is it gonna go okay? But because we were going somewhere beautiful and without our kids and making it a trip, like, it was more exciting. And I think that the pressure came from the fundraising, because I raised money for Hope Story, which is an organization that supports families with children with Down syndrome. And so I had asked people to give me money for this race, and that was the big motivator. Every morning when I didn't really want to wake up, it was like, people have paid me their hard-earned money. I'm getting out of bed. So yeah, that was the big pressure piece for me.
Yeah, and I think it was cool that you did have that pressure piece in the sense that it was for a really good cause. something that you do have a lot of background in. You can maybe talk a little bit about that, just the stuff with Johnny Camp and things like that, of where you have a lot of experience with families that have children with Down syndrome, and the joys and the challenges that come with that. And so having the ability to raise that money, I think maybe was helpful, but also there's always pressure raising money, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I grew up going with my family to a camp starting like when I was in kindergarten. It's Johnny and Friends Family Retreats, and it's a summer camp for families who have children with disabilities, not just Down syndrome, really any kind of disability. But that was part of the reason why I was so excited to raise money for Hope Story, because I know specific families who have kids with Down syndrome and felt like, I was just picturing them when I'm raising this money and training, like this organization is making a real life impact. So it was a good one to raise money for.
Yeah, and let's talk about the training, because I witnessed a lot of it, meaning that for the most part I was asleep, but I saw you get back when it was early.
Yeah.
But the idea that, this is the stuff that nobody sees, that you're getting up in the dark. Talk about the challenges of it, but just what that entailed, how long you were doing that. And some of the, any interesting stories from your time in the dark, really.
I don't know how many interesting stories I have, but I used an app called Runna, which some people love, some people hate, but I knew that I needed like a structured plan. And so you can choose how many days a week you want to run. I chose 4 days a week because previously I'd been running 3 days a week. And so I just did one more than I was already doing. I felt like if I added much more than that, I was going to risk injury. So 3 days during the week, I was waking up running. And that would consist of like a speed workout, maybe like an easy run, and then a hill workout where I just run up and down the same hill over and over. And then on the weekend, I'd progressively add more and more miles. So my long run on Saturday started at like 6 miles when I started the plan, and then all the way up to 20 miles. It was mainly in the dark the whole time.
Yeah, talk about that, because like, I think something that people don't think about, or I hadn't really thought about, is like a lot of times you're training in conditions that are not what the race is. Like I remember like the Dallas Marathon is always in December, but that means you're training in Dallas when it's 108 or whatever. And so for here, we live, like I said, outside of Chattanooga. We live in a very, very hilly area. Mm-hmm. So you're training on huge hills, which was helpful for your marathon, as opposed to a lot of the people that that were in Dallas that were training. But in Chattanooga, we're on the edge of Eastern time. So in the summer, that's amazing if you like the sun, because the sun doesn't go down till like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And in the winter, it's not too bad as far as the afternoon sun, because our afternoon, the sun doesn't go down until about 5:30, as opposed to like Nashville where it goes down at like 4:30. However, that means that our mornings are very dark. Mm-hmm. And so
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, you spent a ton of time running in the dark, and we live in a pretty dark neighborhood. Yeah. We don't have sidewalks. We don't have any street lights. Which, we like it that way in a lot of ways, but it was not conducive to running. Yeah. That was probably something that you did not expect? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It was a little scary at first. I think if we were still in Dallas, I don't know that I would have done it. Just like fear of people, or
just the amount of cars,
sketchiness and cars and whatever. But our neighborhood here just feels really safe, and people, since there aren't sidewalks, people are looking out for people. And so I just strapped on a bunch of lights and reflectors, and I ended up enjoying it. And I got to see like the sunrise every morning, which is,
I've heard is great.
Yeah, a huge perk.
I wouldn't know.
And then I really look forward to Saturdays, because with more time, longer runs, I would run. We're not too far from like the edge of the mountain, the brow, and so I just run this long stretch where I'm just seeing the sun rise over the mountains, which is really peaceful and nice. So
Sounds
that was
great.
like my reward at the end of a hard week of running in the dark.
Yeah, and there were times I even made like a stupid video about it on TikTok one time when you were going off to run, and there was snow everywhere, and it was like 20 degrees, and you had like a face mask on.
I really need a treadmill, is what I figured out.
Anybody got a lead on a good used treadmill, let us know. But I mean, she was out there running in this, I mean, it was incredibly cold.
Yeah.
And she, she had to like protect her face and her breathing because of all the, issues that could come with that. And I just remember I was like, I'm going to go lay in bed. Like I was like, the kids, we were all like, just like tired and cold. And she was out there running. And that was so many months before the marathon.
Yeah.
So, as the time approached, as your times are getting good, you're getting more confident in your running. And I know you had a lot of back and forth with, management of pain and trying to avoid injuries and all of that. But once you passed that and it was time to actually like go to the marathon, what was your mindset as we were like on the plane or like in the day before? Like, were you more excited or nervous for the race?
I feel like I was equal parts. I really wasn't like super nervous. I feel like I kept kind of going back and forth between I just want to enjoy this and I want to like finish well, and then like I want to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the competitive part of me is like, well, people know that I'm doing this and they're going to ask how long it took. I don't want to be like the slowest one. Yeah. And our son said I had to like finish in the top 100.
Well, he said you had to win.
Yeah.
And then he said you had to win your age group. And then we talked him to a little bit more realistic.
Top 1,000, I think, is what we, and I did that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So we'll get to your time in a minute, but we were in Monterey the day before, or 2 days before. There was a team dinner of the Hope Story people, which was cool to kind of learn different people's stories and how they ended up doing that race and kind of their training regimen or lack thereof, and just hearing some of that. Some people have done a bunch of marathons. Some people were like, I haven't even done a half marathon.
Some people clearly had never heard of Hope Story and were just like, I want to race here, so I'm just gonna like raise money for this. And that's crazy to me that you're but I mean, Hope Story's just happy for you to raise money for their organization. So
right, and it's an amazing experience no matter what. But then we did the 5K that I barely made through, but I did. I'm proud of myself. I was sore for like 2 days.
Yeah, he kept complaining about his legs.
Yeah.
I said, when I'm done, you better stop complaining.
I didn't stop though, so there's that. So what's interesting about the Big Sur Marathon is it is along Highway 1, the PCH, which is one of the most beautiful roads in the world. I mean, just unbelievable views up and down the coast, these big cliffs, there's the Bixby Bridge, there's all this. But so the day before we drove the course of the run, and I'll tell you this from my experience when we drove the run, I was like, I don't think this is possible because it was so steep, it was so uphill for so long.
And it was just a long stretch.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at pictures even of just like, where you're like all the way up there is still the road and you're supposed to run all the way up there and then it would go down and then it would go back up, and almost like worse than hills like in our neighborhood where you just sort of see the hill, you get to the top of the hill and then there might be another hill but you didn't see like this, you could see the whole way, like I've got to run all the way up there. So as we're driving it, I was thinking, I almost think we shouldn't be doing this because it's going to intimidate you more. Did that make you feel more nervous or less nervous? Because personally, I felt way more nervous for you. I didn't say this. Maybe I did. I don't think I did. But are you glad we did that, or are you like, we shouldn't have done that?
I mean, I'm glad we did it because the day of, I was trying to enjoy it and take in the views and all that, but I was also like in the zone. And so driving it, I got to see it and appreciate it, I think, more than I did the day of. But yeah, it made me a lot more nervous. And I remember we were probably like 15 miles because we started at the start line and then we're like, okay, we're going to drive this whole route.
And kind of describe, if you can, a little bit the how cool the course actually was, though. Like, we start in the redwoods, kind of
Yeah.
in the Big Sur village area,
Yeah.
and then like, where do you go through?
So you drive. I mean, you drive. We drove. The start line is, I guess, what is it, like Big Sur?
It's like Big Sur village, like little
Yeah,
area.
there were a few restaurants, but it's not
Yeah.
really like a town by
Yeah,
any means. But the first maybe 4 or 5 miles are downhill through the redwoods, which I've never seen before, and
It's
that was
massive trees. It's very like shady.
Yeah.
It's like you're kind of
very
enveloped.
peaceful.
A little bit kind of like what we live in, but where there's you can't see. You don't even know there's
Yeah.
a beach there.
Right. Yeah. And then you come out and you see the beach, and there's cows everywhere, and farmland, and cliffs, and a lighthouse on an island, and it's just, I mean, there was so much to see. Yeah. So, but driving that, I think we were probably 18 miles into the drive, and you were like, I feel like we've been driving forever, and we are not even close to done.
And
Like,
uphill most of that time.
I know. Yeah, and the whole course, I mean, the most downhill of it is at the very beginning, which is pretty unfortunate because that's when you're trying to go slow and like conserve energy, but that's the only time that you're
Yeah.
kind of going downhill.
And you're
for-
freshest, so you want to
Yeah.
go fast.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people say it's the most beautiful marathon in the world. I was wondering this, and actually, I don't know if I've even asked you this, but like, did it matter that it was beautiful? Like, you're so locked in, you're so focused on your time, one foot in front of the other. Did it really matter that it was beautiful, or could it have been anywhere and you still would have gotten the same experience?
I think it matters. I think I probably was more focused on things than a lot of people because it was my first marathon. I mean, I heard other people say it was their first as well, but I think a lot of people, that's like a bucket list marathon after they've done lots of city marathons. And so those people are probably more enjoying themselves because they're like, I know I can do this. I'm not super worried about the time. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's why people do it, because it's beautiful. But for me, I was trying to enjoy it and also trying to survive, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, were there people like with their phones out, like taking selfies and stuff? Okay.
I didn't stop because I had a fear of if I stop, I might not start again. I don't know how my legs are going to handle like stopping to take pictures all the time, but lots of people were pulling off, especially near like the Bixby Bridge, taking tons of pictures.
Okay.
But I didn't. That's another reason I'm glad we drove it before. I didn't feel the need to take pictures because I had taken all these pictures the day before.
Yeah. And then we actually ended up driving it again the next day when we went down to LA. So we really got a lot of experience on the road. But yeah, I was wondering that, and I'm not sure that I asked you that because the idea of a beautiful marathon sounds cool, but if you are so focused on finishing, if it's, I mean, hellish going up the hill like that, like, is it really worth the beauty of it? But I mean, you hear that with like someone like Patrick Mahomes when they're in the Super Bowl for like the 4th time, and they're like, yeah, the first one's not enjoyable because you're worried about everything. You got all these things. It's all so new and so overwhelming. And then if you can go a second or third time, the rhythms of it, and you can actually go, this is pretty awesome.
And you're more confident in your abilities.
So that makes sense that people who were experienced with marathons could drink it in a little bit more, and then you might have been a little bit less so. But yeah, we got plenty of time enjoying the views, and that's, again, even if the marathon itself, the beauty of it wasn't helpful or whatever, it got us out there when we probably wouldn't have gotten out there normally. So
something to note that's different about that one, like most marathons, I mean, like the New York City Marathon, any video you see, there's just hundreds of thousands of spectators, and this one, their spectators aren't really allowed. So it was
because the road's so narrow.
Yeah, I mean, you can't stand on one side because it's just the ocean. But they had like things set up for you to like distract you and whatever. So like at mile 13, they had a guy playing a grand piano like on the Bixby Bridge, and they had speakers like all over. I mean, it wasn't just like he was playing a little piano; like it was echoing off the like.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was on the Bixby Bridge.
Yeah.
I haven't seen pictures of that. I want to see it.
I mean, it's like a big production, and then they have like this drum group, and they have bands playing and stuff. So there's stuff to see, but it's a much more peaceful internal experience than like a New York City kind of situation.
And I wonder if people who've done several will say, I guess it probably depends on your personality. Some might say that's way better. I can just lock in and step by step and I'm not distracted. Others might say I need the crowd to keep me going, and the energy and the fact that people are watching me, and if I stop, they're going to be right there to you know. So that, I wonder, probably depends on your personality for sure. It's so crazy because this is one of the smaller marathons as far as like 3,000 or 4,000 people running the marathon.
I think so, yeah.
And there's an 11 mile and a 21 mile that you could run as well. So maybe there was like 6,000 total or something like that. It was not very many people. Whereas, what do you say like New York is?
Oh, I mean, it's
tens of thousands.
Yeah. I need to look up the stats.
Yeah, but to me, I was like, I can't believe there's this many people that want to do this. Personally, and then like to find out that was a smaller one, I was like, what are these people doing? There were a lot of people who had just run the Boston Marathon, which I think is on Monday, and then they fly out to Big Sur and do that one on Sunday, called the Boston to Big Sur. Like there's crazy people, but it was really fun. I thought just to experience the culture of it, being kind of an outsider. But what's something that was like the most surprising for you, whether it's from that angle or just any angle of running the marathon? What was the most unexpected or surprising piece of it?
Oh, that's hard. I mean, I don't know that this was the most surprising, but people are so encouraging, like of just strangers. And it's an individual sport that you're doing by yourself for months, but then like you get out there and it feels like a team sport because people are encouraging random people around them. And like I could feel internally I was struggling. I don't think I was showing it, but maybe I was, because this guy who had been behind me, clearly a veteran, because at the end of the race, he's just kind of passing people. He's speeding up and we're all slowing down. But he, just said, because I had a bib on the back that said, I'm running for Josie, who is one of the champions of Hope from Hope's Story. She has Down syndrome. And he just said like, hey, thank you so much for running for Josie. You're doing a great job, keep going or whatever. And it's just like, he didn't know me, but he just wanted to encourage me, and that helped, So that was a big thing, just how encouraging everyone was. And then I think a big surprise from training for it was just like how much better I felt just in life doing it. But also that like one good choice led to other good choices and other good habits. Like waking up early, I've never been consistent, especially since kids. Like sleeping feels like I earned this. I'm going to sleep until I cannot sleep anymore, but like waking up early was hard for a couple weeks, but then it made me want to go to bed earlier. And because I wanted to go to bed earlier, I didn't want to be on my phone as much at night. And because I didn't want to do that, I started reading more. And so I read a bunch of books, and previous years I didn't read any. So it's just like choosing to run and wake up early led to all these other things that I hadn't envisioned.
Yeah, and I think having that goal made those choices worth it, right? If you don't have a reason, then the trickle-down effect is harder. And even like, you obviously were doing a lot of like electrolytes and, but just even the diet of like not, you didn't go from really unhealthy to incredibly healthy, but just focusing on protein and like not trying to be like, not that you ever were, but just like it was about fueling your body for that purpose, not for just like, oh, I want to lose weight or I want to do this or that. It's like, no, I'm fueling my body to be stronger, to have more endurance and things like that. I just thought that was an interesting and a good way to be more healthy is with the purpose, as opposed to like what I get into, where it's like, I feel kind of fat. I guess I'll just not eat,
right. And that only lasts for so long because there's no like.
And then I'm like, ice cream is good, or like it's just like having that goal of like I'm fueling for this, so I will eat more meat, or
Yeah.
I do need to go get more protein, or it's okay if I have, extra, sweets or whatever because I've been burning these calories. Just like I don't know. I
Yeah.
thought it was interesting watching you navigate all of that over time and not just be like, it didn't start with like, here's the plan, I'm sticking to this plan. It was like adjusting and tweaking and trying new things. Even the gels, you did a lot of work. That was something that I didn't know or think about, how much work goes into figuring out how you fuel during the race, because certain things might hurt your stomach, certain things are gross to you, certain things don't work, certain things do.
Yeah.
And there's a billion products out there that you'll get advertisements for, that you'll hear about, and you had to figure out what those were, try those out, even down to the shoes. Like she had to go, you burned through basically a whole one pair of shoes and then got it. I thought that was really interesting. Again, like one choice leads to other choices, but just even the work that goes into figuring out how you fuel during the race. Do you feel like if or when you do another one, you're like, I had that down, or I need to change it a lot or a little, or like what was just that? And then we'll get into kind of the actual finish of the race and all of that. But yeah, I'm just curious about that piece of it because I thought that was interesting.
I mean, I used Huma, I don't even know how you say it, HUMA gels, which are like a chia based, and they're a lot more natural. Like the flavors, it's actually lemon. It's not, all this synthetic whatever. And I really liked them. The flavor was good. They felt good in my stomach. I don't think I would change that necessarily. The only difference, as you speed up and get faster, which hopefully if I did another one, I'd be faster, you need more carbs per hour. And so I took
the stuff I don't even think about.
I took like 10 of those gels over the time. And by the end, I felt like the gels were like up to here. Oop.
Yeah, you're fine.
I felt like they were like up to here. Like I was kind of burpy and like I never thought I was going to throw up or anything. But I'm just like, how could I possibly take more?
If I ate one of these gels, should I eat one of these gels for the video? Would I be like, these are disgusting, even the ones that you're saying are good? Are they only good because you've tried worse ones? That's what I mean.
It definitely helps that I tried some terrible crap.
What was the worst flavor you tried? Wasn't there like a salted caramel or something?
I tried the Goo brand, which is like you can get at Walmart, and I think I tried it because they're cheaper. I think that was like one of the first.
She's always going to pick the cheaper option. I just want y'all to know that.
Well, and it's easily accessible.
Yeah,
like
you don't have to order it.
I had to order those off Amazon. But I tried that and I gagged hard. Like that was just, it was all, and
if you're not a runner, natural. You don't want to be gagging while running. Yeah. I could tell you that. That seems like not a good idea.
It was bad. Yeah.
But then there was also the whole thing of like, and I don't want to talk about this, but runners always talk about their stomachs, right? And you were saying that some, or any of them maybe, if you had to train your stomach to handle the gels while running.
Well, the first,
like you had to work your way into it, which is like,
even the brand that I stuck with that I really liked, the first time I tried it, I was like, oh my gosh, my stomach. So it's just practice, and pretty soon it didn't affect me at all.
But even that is crazy to me. Yeah. Like that you had to train your gut to handle the gels that would then fuel you for the run. There's just so many steps that come from that. And I mean, if you're not a runner at all and you've made it through this much of the podcast, which I think you should because it's interesting, because I'm not a runner at all, but it is a thought of like, set a big goal and all the different steps that come from that, all the different pieces that if I told you a year ago that you had to train your stomach to handle these gels, you'd be like, that's so dumb, right? Why would I do that? But in the context of training for this big goal, you were like, yeah, I got to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to train my stomach for these gels. Like,
well, it's just like being a parent.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I can't imagine waking up every hour to feed this baby or whatever, but then when you're in the middle of it, you just do it.
Right. Like, and even like as a mom, like how you fuel when you're breastfeeding and stuff like that, like those things that you don't think about, but then the steps come from that. So all of that leads up to you're in the race, you've powered through. And I think you said it was about mile 22. You said
Something
you had
like
not
that.
wanted to stop. She did not want to stop because she didn't know if she could start again,
Yeah.
but you did have to because your water bottle ran out.
Yeah.
If I'm guessing, so your goal was 4 hours. You
Yeah,
wanted to finish
I wanted to finish under 4 hours.
under 4 hours, and you were at about, I think you said mile 22. And if I'm guessing the time, because I was at the finish line at this point watching the app, like, come on, come on, come on. But the app, it's just updating, a little bit at a time. And I'm guessing there's about, so that's what, 4 miles, so we're about 3 hours 15, 3 hours 20 minutes
Yeah.
at this point. So 4 hours is there, it's doable, but you can't have any kind of delay or issue.
Yeah.
So that's leading up to you do finally stop. What happens there?
Yeah, I ran with a water bottle, which some people do, some people don't. But I didn't want to have to navigate. I mean, when there's like an aid station, it's everyone stopping and trying to grab water, and it just felt chaotic to me.
And your water bottle has like a handle, so you like run with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and also when you take a gel, you definitely need water after. And so I didn't want to have to think through planning, okay, I'm going to take my gel right before I get to this aid station. That just sounded like too much. So I wanted just control of all that myself. But I ran out of water, and I can't remember, I'd had to fill it up before, but I think I just went to the wrong guy, because some people had just cups and some people had pitchers to pour water into water bottles. And so it just took longer for them to get that situated. And then when I started to run again, I was just like, I think the bottom of my leg is going this way, and my thigh, it felt like my leg was really messed up, is what I'm trying to say.
Your fear was like a bad knee injury, or literally just anything?
It was just like, I'm just so out of whack.
Okay.
I didn't think like I had a big injury. I didn't feel like a big pop or anything.
Okay.
It was just like, oh my gosh, when you stop, you realize that you're in pain.
Yeah.
So I ran pretty slow that next mile, and then I was
And
able
was
to,
it on a hill? Probably.
Oh yeah, the end was hills. Yeah, I was just like, of course we're gonna end on hills. But anyway, yeah. So I did a slow mile, and the 4-hour pacer guy, he was pretty loud. I could hear him around me, so I knew I was more like near the 4-hour mark. Yeah, so I think I ended up finishing officially at 4 hours and 21 seconds.
Yeah, and so from my perspective, while she's at the race, I drop her off at 3 a.m. at the Embassy Suites, because they have to take a bus to the start line down the highway, because then they close the highway. So that's another, I don't know how normal races are, but that is another kind of interesting challenge, was you've been up for a really long time. They take the bus down there, and I don't know how normal races are, but it seems like you had 2 hours to warm up or just stand around in the kind of chilly weather.
Try to use the bathroom.
All that. Yeah, and it's kind of rainy. And normally Big Sur has bad weather, by the way. This is a big part of the Big Sur Marathon, is that it can rain, be windy. It's
really windy.
Pacific Ocean. It's cold. I mean, we were cold the whole time we were there.
Yeah.
But there was a little bit of rain, and then it didn't rain the whole race. And they said that was like the best weather they've ever had at the Big Sur Marathon, which is amazing. While she's at the race, I go back to the hotel. I go to sleep. I wake up. I go get some of the best donuts I've ever had in my life.
That was an amazing donut.
Which is a tradition of mine. When she runs a race, I get donuts. The biggest apple fritter I've ever seen. I only had like a little bit, and then I brought the rest to her, because I was like, if I ran a marathon, I would be eating a giant apple fritter, no problem. Apparently, you have to wait a while to eat, because, whatever. Apparently, you're supposed to eat like bananas and.
No, I just felt like I can't eat anything else.
No, but so I was at the start line, or the finish line, and watching the app, and I'm like watching the time, and I'm watching the app, and I'm watching the time, and I like, the last thing I want to do is miss videoing her finishing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of hard to see. There's a lot of people. It's a small start line. And I'm tall, right? And I'm really looking for her. And it's hard to know like who's who. And, she didn't have like a big bright yellow. She had a bluish, so she looked a little different than other people. But anyway, like I finally see her coming. And like, so you come around a curve, and then you see the start line, and then it's finally downhill. Finish line. You come around a curve, you see the finish line, and it's finally downhill, right? For like the first time really since the beginning.
Yeah.
What is that feeling like as you come around the curve and you're like, did you have any, well, first of all, did you have any false peaks, like any times where you're like, this has to be close to the end, or were you certain where you were the whole time? I guess your watch
Yeah,
probably
I mean,
helps.
they have a mile marker every
Yeah.
mile, so you're pretty certain. But I think I was not talking to myself like, okay, you're almost done. It was just
Okay.
like,
You didn't
that
want to think
wouldn't
about it
even-
like that,
no.
yeah.
But the whole last mile, I was like just crying
Yeah,
because I was just so proud.
yeah, because you knew once you got across that, was that when you knew you would finish? Like,
I mean, yeah. Even when my leg felt all weird, there was never a moment of like, I'm not going to finish this. I think it was just like more relief that it was actually ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, she comes around the corner, and I finally get a glimpse of her, and I could see like she's crying, and she's just run a marathon. And she looks tired, obviously tired and crying, and I don't
Saying
know.
I looked really good.
Yeah, well, I don't know if these are happy, relieved tears, if these are tears of frustration, because she was coming right up to the 4-hour mark, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, like just for her sake, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't 4:01, even though that's unbelievable, right? I wouldn't have cared if it was the last second you could finish was 6 hours.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have cared if she finished in 6 hours, right? Like that's still way better than anything I could have ever done. But I knew that that's what she wanted. She worked really hard for. So I was like, come on. And so I see her and I'm cheering, but I'm like in my mind, like don't slow down to the end. Like
Yeah.
you got it. Just get all the way through. And I see she's crying and I'm like, I don't know what kind of tears these are. And then she crosses the finish line. And she's got the tears, and like a Red Cross worker like runs up to her and like puts her arm around her.
Yeah.
And what does she say?
I
Like,
don't even know. I think I cut her off before she even said anything. She like put her arm around me and I said, they're happy tears or something like that.
okay. And then she was like,
She
congratulations.
just like, oh, she did say, you're making me get emotional too, or something like that. But yeah, she was just making sure I wasn't like,
Yeah, because
struggling.
you don't know what kind of tears these are.
Yeah.
And by the way, like just a shout out to all of those people, the Red Cross workers,
Yeah.
the people up and down the marathon, all the volunteers.
they had thousands of volunteers.
So many people dedicated to making this race great for the participants. They're
Yeah.
not even racing, right? But
Yeah.
they're there doing the hard work. I mean, like I said, we drove the course kind of in the afternoon, evening, the day before, and there was really no signs of the fact that there was going to be a huge race on this road. And then for there to be a grand piano and speakers and the
Yeah.
course shut down, these people would have worked overnight
All
in the
night,
dark,
yeah.
in the rain, to get it done. And so that was incredible. But yeah, I see her, she's crying. It was amazing. And yeah, she finished it exactly on the 4 hour, less than 4:01. I think he said 4 hours, 21 seconds,
Yeah.
something like that. She finished in the top 20% of everyone, I think. Maybe I know top 20% of women.
Yeah. I don't even.
But we did all the stats, and it is really remarkable. I can brag on her because she won't. For someone first marathon, someone who she's not a professional runner. She's run, but she's not run that much. She's done a few half marathons. Haven't done a half marathon in years. I mean, your last one was before kids.
Pre-kids. Oh,
yeah, she hasn't done a half marathon in at least 6 years. So we're not even talking about going from a half to a full. The longest you'd done was some 10Ks. So this was really unbelievable. And the Big Sur Marathon, you can go look up the times, but the winning female time, so the top female in the entire race was 2 hours and 51 minutes, which is unbelievable. But if you look at the winning female times from other marathons, usually it's in the 2:20 range.
Yeah.
It's 2:15, 2:20, 2:25. So for the top female, who must be incredibly elite, to do 2:51 shows you how difficult the course is.
Yeah.
Shows you that this is not an easy marathon by any means. Talk a little bit about, I thought this was funny. So the London Marathon was earlier that day, and we're in California, so the London Marathon is going to be 12 hours before.
Yeah.
But that was two people broke the world record for marathons, two men, They did it under 2 hours.
Under 2 hours, yeah.
And they tell you guys that before you go out?
Yeah.
What was the reaction like? Were people like, come on? Or were they like,
No,
heck yeah?
Yeah, it was just like we're all sitting around in the cold, and he's like, guys, we have some news, earlier today in London, 2 people broke and this guy, he was like a DJ. I mean, it was weird having a DJ and like 3 a.m., everyone was just kind of like, he was playing that.
Normally a DJ 3 a.m., it's because he's still awake, not because everyone's waking up.
He was playing that song that everyone uses for like TikToks and stuff about like anxiety. Na 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 na.
Oh, that's like it's like somebody that I used to know, but it's like lyrics about anxiety.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I don't know that song, but I mean, I don't know why that song exists, but I know what it is.
It's all over Instagram Reels or whatever it was. But anyway,
That's
playing
what he's
that,
playing.
and me and this girl that I made friends with were like, who needs this right now?
Yeah, we plenty of anxiety right now as we're waiting in lines for porta potties.
Yes.
Like
there was anxiety. We know there's anxiety.
Definition of anxiety. Yeah, I mean, I just thought that was, I saw that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I wouldn't have, I mean, you were already running, I think, by the time I saw that. But I was like, I don't think she should know this. That people did this in under 2 hours. That seems ridiculous. But I mean,
people were excited about it.
Yeah. But they wouldn't have done Big Sur in under 2 hours. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Maybe 2:02, but not 2 hours. So what's your to put a button on it, your overall impression of the experience of running a marathon and then the experience of running the Big Sur Marathon?
I mean, I haven't run another marathon, so I don't have anything to really judge it against. I mean, I guess I could compare it to my half marathons. I feel like if you are a runner and you like to travel, be outside, like you've got to do that one and make a trip out of it. It was totally worth it. I think the race was really well put together. People clearly care about it a lot. We met someone who's run every single race.
Yeah, I think his name is Manny Ramirez.
Yeah.
Not the former baseball player who used steroids. This Manny Ramirez? Probably not using steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Nice
so
guy.
It's just
interesting culture out there, I think, just in general, like Big Sur, Monterey, different than California you think of.
Yeah.
But yeah, incredible people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that is a race worth doing 100%. And if you ever want to do it, fundraise for Hope Story because they'll probably be going back.
And real quick on that point, it is a limited marathon as far as the amount of people that can get in.
Yeah,
it
you
is
have to
really
put your name
hard
in,
to
like, a
get.
drawing.
It is really hard to get a normal spot. The more likely way to get in is through an organization like Hope Story. So you're doing a good thing, you're raising money for them, and you get a better chance of running one of these sort of bucket list marathons.
Yeah.
So that's for anyone who's confused on what the reason to do or not do it that way.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then running the marathon, I mean, I think was just a really rewarding experience, especially for me as a stay-at-home mom who I was telling Scott the other day after some reflection, just like, I think the reason that it was so appealing to me was because as a mom, most of the things I do all day are invisible, really. I cook and then it gets eaten, and then I clean the house.
Sometimes.
And well, that's true. By you, at least.
Yeah.
I clean the house or I clean this room and I go, and that room's dirty now. I do laundry and then there's more dirty clothes. It's like a constant revolving door of work and tasks. And so this was kind of the first goal I've had in a really long time where I set out to do something and then I worked really hard and I accomplished it, and there's like a start and an end date. And so, yeah, it was really rewarding for me. And I think you can like look back at something like that and say like, man, I'm so much stronger than I thought I was. And you can carry that with you into other facets of life. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I did it, and I'll probably do another one. Sorry to say that to you, but
No.
I'll do it again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think also back to the very beginning, which is, you said, one of the impetus for this was our son Carter saying kind of like all you do all day is play with us. And to actually see that you took that, turned it into something positive, you set this goal, you accomplished it, you did what you talked about, which is like something that people can see. Carter saw that, and our younger son Mac, and Carter was inspired by you to do that, and he was really enthusiastic. He was watching on the app. All of that he wanted you to do well. He was cheering for you. He was really visibly and legitimately proud of you for doing that. Right? He wasn't like, man, this is taken away from all the time you're playing with me. He was like, whoa, that's cool that you're doing that. And now he is thinking of ways he can do things, right?
Yeah.
And that is something that as parents, we want to spend time with our kids. We want to give them quality time. But I think it's also incredibly important to show them that you are a human being with goals, and show them what it means to set a goal and achieve it, to work hard and to do something, because they're not going to be kids forever. You're raising adults, right? So you want them to be adults who do those things and take that down to when they're kids and they can set goals and, riding a bike, learning to swim, things like that are really hard for them, can be really hard for them to go, hey, I set this goal, this is how I did it, right? I think that is far more important than every second of every day being available to play, right? You want to spend the quality time, but it is incredibly valuable to be able to go, I'm actually going to take time away from you right now to do this thing.
Yeah.
And here's why, and teach a lesson. And I think that that's something that he'll remember. And I don't know how much our 2-year-old will remember, but they'll know about it.
Yeah.
To say, my mom did this, so I can do this, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was super cool. Thank you for being the first and maybe only guest ever on Sunroom Storytime. I couldn't tell this story myself, and I think it is a story worth telling. So I appreciate you coming on. Hard to get on your schedule.
I know.
Our son's been watching TV for now almost an hour, which is not normal in the mornings, but I'm sure he's having a great time.
Exactly.
So, and that is your 8th Sunroom story.
Okay, thank you to Sami for joining us. I did really enjoy that, and I hope you did too. If you did, please comment below. Tell me what you enjoyed about it. Tell me if you want to hear more from her at a later date. But yeah, I think it was great, and I hope you guys did too. Because it was longer, the Wiki Wonder, we're just going to jump really quick into it. I was talking to a guy and that was doing some work across the street, and he said something about Bone Cave, Tennessee. And I was like, what the heck is Bone Cave, Tennessee? I look it up. It's an unincorporated community kind of in the Chattanooga area. And there's a cave called Big Bone Cave, and they discovered a giant sloth there. A giant sloth, the fossil of a giant sloth. I didn't know what a giant sloth was. Pretty amazing, kind of dinosaur era creature. Giant sloths lived in North America, and there was a fossil of one in a cave around here, and that's cool. And there's your Wiki Wonder for the day. Upcoming shows. I am headlining Mic Drop Plano, July 21st. Big deal. You can use the promo code GOOD to get $5 off. I want to sell that place out. It's a 300-seater, and that's a big goal. That's the goal I'm setting, just inspired by my wife running a marathon, the Big Sur Marathon. My goal is to try to sell out Mic Drop Plano, and that's the goal I'm setting, and I want to see you there. Use that promo code, and tell your friends, because it's a big deal for me to be headlining, especially a big club like that, and I'm really excited. I'll be in Panama City doing 3 different shows at different theaters with Ron Hortman here coming up a little bit later in May, and then I will be at the Ryman with Chris D'Elia at the end of the month. So those are my shows coming up. I also have Nate Land tonight, but this episode won't be out in time for you to go see me there. But if I do see you there, I'll say hi. But yeah, please come out to those shows, especially Mic Drop Plano, July 21st. Really, really excited about that. And I'm also hosting for Brian Bates here at the Comedy Catch in Chattanooga. I believe that's July 9th. So a lot of exciting things coming up, but I'm mostly focused on July 21st. If you live in the Dallas area, I better see you there. But yeah, thank you for listening. Please, again, write some comments about the interview with my wife. And also, if you want to hear any other stories or anything like that, please let me know. And like, subscribe, share, do all those things. Thank you for joining me on Sunroom Storytime.